and we're told that if you get these things wrong, it's a serious matter, and your soul may be on the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we talk about these things. These aren't really just esoteric issues. These actually have real life consequences for people, potentially on a moral level, but I think on a practical level, because people are very afraid. Catholics are very afraid of doing something that's wrong, even if their mind and experience and everything tells them there's nothing wrong with it. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust our experiences, our reason, our logic, right? We're essentially told not to trust that. Welcome back, everyone. Craig and Jonah here today. How are you today, Jonah?
Doing pretty good. The other night, I don't know, my wife and I were bantering back and forth a little bit. And I can't remember what it was about, but I just said, would I do that to the woman that I love more than any other woman in the world?
You were asking yourself this?
No, I just said, well, I was just making a point,
Okay,
just kind of trying to be funny. And all of a sudden, my daughter, who's 4 years old, just starts bawling. And
oh my gosh.
So we weren't sure what was going on there. So I went over and talked to her. She's like, you love mommy more than you love me?
Oh.
And I was like, well, I love you and mom differently. And that was not a good answer. She started crying again.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And so now we have this like running joke between us that I love her more than mom. So, but I don't know if I'm giving her a daddy complex or whatever.
It's funny.
She's quite sensitive. So I'm not sure what to think about that. But
it's funny how they're listening to certain things and ignoring most of the rest, it seems sometimes.
That's true. Oh, one thing that was really funny is that the kids brought home this homework assignment. And you're supposed to add something to do with prayer, like, different prayers you say at night. And so there's like 4 sections, and one was for something you're thankful for. Then the second section was, something you're sorry for. And I can't remember what the other categories were, but when they got to the section you're sorry for, my wife wasn't really sure what we should write down. And the kids are like, I bet dad committed adultery.
Why would that roll off there?
I think because they know it's for adults, maybe, or something. I don't think. My oldest son must have some idea, but the ones that said it had no idea. They just knew it was something adults do. Yeah. But if we had written that down, I don't know.
Okay.
What our priest would say.
Okay. Well, just kids, don't say that out in public anywhere, please. Don't.
Yeah, it's not a funny joke anywhere but home.
Yeah, don't tell all your friends that at school.
Well, even our youngest was like, Dad was against the 6th and 9th commandment.
Holy cow.
And I was like, yeah, coveting the Amish neighbor's wife. Yeah,
that's funny. Kids are great.
Yep, kids are funny.
Except when they're not. So I have a little story to tell.
Okay.
So we have this, I think I've told you, we have this ongoing tension in our house with our 3-year-old who likes to stay up until all hours of the night. And that has been his, other than NFP itself, the major barrier to intimacy in our house.
Okay.
Right. So every day, even if it's our day, it's a go day, there's no guarantees of anything in our house. And it's been that way for, I'd say, almost 2 years now. It's been kind of insane.
Wow, that's a long time.
They don't tell you that.
Quite a barrier.
Yeah. It's a natural barrier,
It's not
I guess.
considered a barrier method. But
Yeah. They don't. I did not remember being told that in NFP classes or whatever, pre-Cana stuff.
This kind of barrier's allowed.
Yeah. So now we've for the most part been able to work around it, but I tell you, nothing has been more challenging to us, especially while back on NFP, since our last postpartum, was just getting all the kids where they need to be and when they need to be and get them to bed. Right.
Yeah.
And so the other night it was go night because we're in our brief free pass of Marquette method. Right. And she went to bed It really is like, all right, things are looking up. Then so the next barrier we have is our, let's see, try to count, fifth child, third son, somewhere thereabouts. He's one of these that doesn't go to bed very well at all, and he's got to dilly dally around, and he same thing everywhere he goes. He's just chronically late. He's got to do all these things, and at night it's like, well, maybe I'll go down go to the bathroom, and he'll be there for like a half hour or something like that, and then he's fussing with his 3D printer and stuff like that. So we're waiting for him, and then the Northern Lights were out. I don't know if you noticed that. The Northern Lights were out. Yeah, and he saw that, and so
were they pretty awesome?
Not awesome enough to stay up for, but
was that last night?
It was a couple nights ago.
Okay.
Yep. So he got my wife. They went out on the lawn, looked at it, and he was all excited. And then he was up in his room, and he was still looking at him. And then, strangely, our next son, who is probably of all of our kids the best sleeper, like when it's bedtime, you say it's bedtime, you say, okay, and he lays down, he goes to sleep. That's literally the only kid we've ever had that does that. Everyone else, it's like WrestleMania, trying to get him to sleep. Or with the other one I was mentioned about, it's like, come on, let's go. You know, you're always just having to do that. So our best sleeper suddenly woke up and he couldn't go back to sleep. And he was actually apologizing for the fact that he was keeping my wife up. Again, very unique for our kids.
That is funny.
So between that combination, we got derailed, or at least my wife called the game on account of rain. And fine, whatever. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, well, they're old. Like, what she's not comfortable with is closing doors and having them up, potentially figuring out what's going on. That will remain probably the biggest point of contention between my wife and I about these things, because she feels very uneasy with the fact that the kids might figure out what's going on when it's going on, right?
Yeah.
And what's funny about that, because I was thinking about this, is when he was our youngest. So the one that usually goes to sleep really good, when he was our youngest, when we were trying to get pregnant with our next one, like I said, he was a perfect sleeper. And
you're trying at this point?
We were actually trying. I think it was the last time we were trying to get pregnant. Pretty certain it was. So third youngest kid, we were trying to get pregnant with, and I swear it is the weirdest. He's never done that any other time, but he, for a week during that fertile window, if you will, he just suddenly decided he couldn't sleep from about 10 p.m. until like 1 a.m.
That's funny. You still found a way, though.
We found a way, but I was like, holy cow, like he does not want to have a sibling. So
That's
anyway, so it was weird. And then there's been literally no issues with him for like 8 years. And then, so to me, like on paper, NFP maybe kind of works, but in practice, it's just much more complicated like that. And it's just trying to, I would say there's a lot of romance and all that. It's just like, okay, we've got time, better make use of it.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know, grates me a little bit.
That's funny. Well,
yeah. So anyway,
gotta play the hand you're dealt.
Yeah. But the next night worked out. So, but it's like, I don't know. During the quote unquote infertile window, it's, I don't know, doubly frustrating when you're foiled, when like, you only have a few chances.
Yeah.
And then, so I don't know. I'm still not old enough where that doesn't bother me.
Well, yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, kids.
Yeah.
It's been a little while since we reacted to one of Ellen's video
all right.
podcasts. You want to do that with me?
You bet.
So this one is on female orgasm.
All right.
Yeah, I like that topic.
Yeah, it's a fine topic. Yeah.
So, and in fact, she kind of covers some of the things that gave rise to some of our early fodder.
All right.
So But there's some new twists, so I thought I would share that with you. So we're going to go through
New twist on the female orgasm.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, when you
I'm
start
all ears.
when you're trying to apply, unwritten Catholic rules to it, it's always interesting. Everyone becomes their own theologian. It seems like. Okay, so I'll link to her episode below. I'm using the YouTube one now just because it has the transcripts and I can kind of follow along. So here we go.
Confused about what's morally okay when it comes to female orgasm? You are not alone. And today we are going to clean up all of that confusion. You'll learn exactly when and how female orgasm fits into Catholic teaching, what the moral boundaries are around female orgasm, and why it's actually an incredibly important part of the entire sexual act.
Confused?
Sure. No,
I didn't realize there was a lot of confusion about it, but Catholics find a way to
I agree with her. Whatever.
Yeah. All right. Check.
See if our thoughts jive here.
Yeah. It's going to change here. So just hold on. All right. So let me go to. Oh.
Get into it.
All right, today we are going to dive into what is okay with female orgasms. I get this question a lot, and I kind of realized that we had covered it a lot in various different episodes, but there wasn't one clear, concise episode that was just like, what is okay and not okay, morally speaking, with female orgasms. Okay.
Putting their orgasms in Ellen's hands.
I mean, and you'll see from some of the questions, like how really uptight people get. Catholics find a way to get about this stuff.
Yeah.
To me, the female orgasm seems like the
easier of the two, as far as
not the easier to achieve necessarily, but the easier. Depends who you're asking, right?
Yeah.
But
she said.
Yeah. But it seems that it ought to be the easier moral topic.
Yeah, because there's really nothing moral about it either way, right?
Well, there as with all things Catholic, there are limits to a good thing, right?
Well, I suppose.
Okay, so continuing on.
All right.
So, female. First of all, let's just clarify something so important. The female orgasm is equally as important as the male orgasm.
Ooh, I don't know if that's
that's going to ruffle some traditionalists there.
They aren't going to be thrilled about that one.
Welcome to the Heretic Club, Ellen.
All right.
It's good. It's good that it exists. And it is something that we should strive for. Absolutely. It is part of the design of sex. It is a very good thing. God created this pleasure. Women have the clitoris, which is, it only serves one function, which is sexual pleasure. The clitoris's function is to orgasm and create that pleasure during sex.
Is John Farrell aware of that?
Let us know in the comments, buddy.
Sorry, John.
That was a pot shot. Go ahead and give it back to him, John.
I couldn't resist.
So, okay. I mean, I think she's right, but the direction she takes with it, I think, is weird.
Okay.
Well, in what both Catholics. So I do think, I've always thought that the female orgasm and the anatomy typically associated with that provides, I would say, the greatest challenge to some of the traditional rules, and I guess still rules pertaining to sexual morality, especially acts, let's say, outside the marital act.
Yeah.
Right. There's no wasting of seed. There's no seed, whatever. It's purely a pleasure object. Right.
Mm-hmm. And
so one thing I've wondered, how would Aquinas answer this is like, okay, if it's there for pleasure, but it's only to be used with the marital act, why is it not inside instead of outside? That's something I'd like to know. How do they explain that?
Or if it's only for pleasure, can you use it for pleasure as often as you want?
Well, that seems like a logical question, but according to Ellen, that's not allowed. It doesn't really say why. We'll get into that in a little bit.
All right.
But I'm always curious how they like for men, and she kind of goes into this because the male orgasm is typically associated with the ejaculation and his part of the procreative process. They've always been able to explain why ejaculation outside of intercourse is wrong, because that's essential to procreation. You can't, whatever. Fine. I mean, and there's owning and spilling the seed and all that stuff, but it's not really the case of the female. And so what's the justification for why the female orgasm, for example, must only be part of a sexual act?
I don't know.
We're going to find out. I'm sure
Okay.
she's got a good explanation for it, right? Okay. All right.
So the female orgasm is disconnected from the procreative possibility, whereas the male orgasm is actually connected to the procreative possibility, right? So male, and this is the case for 99.9% of men. Of course, there are outliers out there, but I'm talking about the vast, vast majority here. The male orgasm is connected to ejaculation. Like they happen simultaneously, right? So
Who are the
there
10th of a
can't be the
percent?
procreative
bigger
possibility
than that, but we'll
without
talk in
the
a
male
second.
orgasm. That's different for the women. It is possible to have a procreative act without the female orgasm. Now, I'm not saying that's a great thing. I'm saying that it's possible.
Okay. So I don't think she's accurate there that, I mean, is there a nice word for the pre?
Oh, okay, that's what she's getting at. All right,
Okay.
all right. Okay, I wasn't sure if that's what she's going.
Well, I
with.
don't know that's what she's getting at, but I think she's underestimating the how much you could get pregnant during intercourse, even
before.
Let's say the man doesn't
The
fully
owning
ejaculate.
thing. If somebody does the owning thing,
or some of it comes out prior to ejaculation, right?
Yeah.
I always thought that's why for a lot of people pulling out may not work, not simply because they don't pull out in time, but because some of this stuff comes out before like the full climax of the guy, right? So I don't know what the stats are on that, but I know it's true, and I think procreation is certainly possible, to a I wouldn't say substantial degree, but a real degree, even without ejaculation inside.
As an impressionable teenager, I was listening to Loveline with Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew, and they went over that exact scenario with how much comes out before.
Yeah.
And Dr. Drew said that there's so much coming out that it doesn't really matter. But I'm not sure he's correct on that either.
Well, so I think we need to do a little research on that, because we're just doing this on the fly like we always do. But but I don't think that's actually biologically correct. And so I mean, I think so. But okay, let's give her the fact that the male orgasm is sort of part and parcel to the procreative act, if you will. So she says, well, for a female, it's completely separate. You actually don't have to have orgasm to procreate. Now, there are those, and including a lot of trads who have justified limiting the female orgasm to the marital act because it encourages or assists with conception. I don't know if that's true or not, but she doesn't take that position, okay, which is interesting. So it's like there's different flavors of Catholics. Are you doing some fact checking?
I am. So
they
they say it's generally low. Most pre-samples contain no sperm, but and when it is present, it's typically in very small numbers, less than 1 million per milliliter.
Still seems like a lot.
I think that's
Just takes
basically nothing, though.
Okay,
in the grand scheme of things.
All right.
Sure.
Jonah's fact checking me right here.
Yeah.
Another point you agree with Ellen. How about that? I would not have guessed that.
Oh, yeah, here. All but one of our pre-samples contained fewer than 23 million sperm, which, I don't know. Sounds like a lot. 23 million sounds like a lot, but...
Well, regardless of the numbers, the reality is, and it's not, I don't think it's just I think she was thinking there are some men who, let's say, maybe don't orgasm during ejaculation or something like that. Some maybe strange bodily abnormality. I don't think she's including that stuff there.
All right, well.
But, so, just, okay, going on. And this is sort of her point from the fact that unlike the male, where the orgasm and the procreative part of it are kind of hand in hand, it's distinct for women. And this is what she thinks the significance of that is.
The female orgasm, though, it is a separate function. It doesn't have to happen for that procreative possibility to be present. And what that actually teaches us, and I go into this a lot more in depth in my orgasm course for Catholic women. So
the male orgasm is more important, is what she's saying. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she wouldn't say that. And here's my course. Please buy it. And I'll explain why. I always like that.
If you're interested in this topic, if you struggle with orgasm, that course is absolutely for you. I really highly, highly recommend it.
I haven't been able to get myself to buy the course just out of morbid curiosity.
How much is it?
I could be wrong. I feel like it was like $100 or something like that. So
$100 for an orgasm course?
Yeah. I mean, if it works,
yeah. Huh.
Take my money.
Yeah.
Not that.
Might be the best $100 you ever spent, Greg. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Here we go.
What that teaches us is that orgasm is super important.
I'm not sure that's what it teaches us. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with her, but I think she's approaching this from a total different point of view, because she's trying to use it to sell her courses and also somehow wrap this in with how it's consistent with what she thinks church teaching is. And I kind of think it leads potentially to a conflict between what she's saying and church teaching, but we'll go on.
Orgasm happened in the same way for both the male and the woman. It would actually be very easy for it to kind of go to the wayside and like not be thought about. If that pleasure was present.
See, I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's right either, because once you figure it out, I think they can kind of be, they can both happen, like.
What I understand she's saying is that if orgasm happened, let's say as easily or is sort of part and parcel with the procreative part, the way that it does for a man, that somehow we would start caring about the female orgasm less. I don't know. I haven't seen many guys stop caring about the male orgasm. So
yeah,
I think she's trying to use this and argue a point that she already wants to make. I don't see this as being the natural consequence of the point she's, of that, let's say, observation that, yes, it is different. It has a different organ. Well, what does that mean? I don't know that it automatically means what she's saying it means. It's sort of like modern teleology, which is, oh, well, look at it. This is how it's designed. This is what we can tell from that, so.
In the same way, in that the procreative possibility also had the pleasure, like connected with the two. And the reason why it would likely kind of like go away and not be as important is because that procreative possibility is extremely obvious, right? It creates a baby, which takes a lot of like effort and mental space. And so the fact that they're separated in one person, separated in the woman, and together in the man, that shows us how important orgasm is, because God is saying in the male body, look, orgasm and procreation, like they go together. And in the female body, he's saying, look, they're separate things that both require their own intentionality. So he's saying, hey, it's really important that these things happen. And it's really important that we give them each their own intentional, like, space, that we put intention toward that sexual pleasure, that sexual pleasure is an important part of the act.
I'm more confused about orgasm than I ever was.
I mean, I think to the extent that we, let's say, attribute God's design to all this, I think it does show how important the female orgasm is and how beneficial it is and how, but I don't see how it leads to the obvious conclusion that it's important for that it only be within the marital act, which is the point she's ultimately going to get around to.
Yeah.
To me, the fact that it's not necessary for procreation, that it's not, that it doesn't, biologically, it's not inside as opposed to outside, to me, at least lends the possibility that God says, okay, I'm going to give you lots of different ways to experience orgasm. One of those may be during intercourse, and others, maybe not. But that's not, well, it's not ultimately the result that she comes to, I don't think. Okay, so here's the punchline for Catholics, right?
So now that we understand that, let's talk about just some basic morality here. Because the female orgasm is not inherently connected to the procreative part of sex, the female orgasm can actually happen at any point within the full sexual act. That full sexual act is foreplay, intercourse, and optional afterplay. So
I don't know where she's getting, I mean,
it's the time frame, I think, where we might disagree.
just wait to hear. She's
She's gonna break it down.
I think she's expanded the time frame.
The time frame a little bit?
So
All
we're
right.
going to see.
And this is all definitely in the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
So I know this is Leviticus.
Exactly.
This definitely in
Yeah,
there
it was
somewhere.
female orgasm can happen before intercourse happens. It can happen during intercourse, or it can happen immediately after intercourse.
We're on the same page there.
What I like to call optional afterplay. And I really want to encourage you that if an orgasm isn't happening for you, right?
Okay, she's going on to like sell her course. So I actually don't disagree with her there.
Sure, it's great.
But it's that I think is, I think that idea that orgasm for the female can happen outside of the actual intercourse is a fairly modern development. I think it represents a departure from historical and traditional views. I think there's plenty of trads that say, it's essentially masturbation if she orgasms outside of during the actual act of intercourse itself. Right?
I don't really think this is a black and white rule here.
I don't think it is either, but they sort of treat it like it is, right? Yeah. And so it's interesting to see her arguing with such confidence that this is what the church teaches when, number one, I don't know that it's clearly spelled out that way. And I think it represents, like I said, a departure from how it had historically been. And I consider that a good thing, right? I consider this a positive development. And I hope it's not the last of the positive developments. But yet she's
always been like this.
Yeah.
You don't like that.
Right.
Yeah, even though it hasn't.
It hasn't been, right?
Yeah.
So that the TOB people are, I guess, I find them more reasonable than the traditionalists.
Yeah.
But they still are kind of dogmatic and sort of drawing these arbitrary lines that I don't think there's obvious support for. And I think they would be considered heretics by some of the modern people that we claim to, listen to. Right. So, okay. So here, let's continue on here.
And such a wonderful part of sex. But it can happen anywhere within those bounds. Now, it cannot
Well,
happen
here's the catch.
outside of one full sexual act. And that is because sexual arousal is designed for preparing the body to have intercourse. So if we look at the man's body, sexual arousal brings his penis to an erect state. It makes it possible for his body to have intercourse. His body cannot have intercourse unless his penis is in an erect state. What sexual arousal does for the woman is that it allows the vaginal canal to lengthen, the vaginal opening widens, and the cervix actually moves up slightly. And so this actually prepares the woman's body for intercourse, making it more comfortable and increasing the possibility for pleasure. This is why foreplay is absolutely necessary for sex, not just a bonus
I don't know if
add-on,
that was taught.
because the woman's body.
Yeah. No, she says afterplay is optional, but foreplay is not.
I didn't see that in Leviticus either.
I assume that's why I got kicked out of her forum when I asked the question if cookies are permissible. She burned the place down.
That was it.
That was it.
That was the last question.
And I just asked a question. I mean, but so no, don't. If you want to really rile her up, just say foreplay is optional. Pro tip.
And we're pro foreplay.
Yes, we
here.
are. I'm just
so everybody knows.
yeah. I'm for foreplay, afterplay, any play, but that makes me a heretic.
Needs to get to a point where it's actually prepared to have sex. The vaginal canal needs to lengthen. The vaginal opening needs to widen so that sex is comfortable and has the possibility of being pleasurable. All right. So the female orgasm can happen anywhere within the full sexual act. So it can happen during foreplay. It can happen during intercourse. It can happen during optional afterplay. Now, what would...
Okay.
Okay.
I'll stop you right there. So I don't, again, not really disagreeing with anything she says there.
It's great.
But I think there's an inherent contradiction between what she's saying. Because again, she's kind of relying on this teleology type stuff. What's it designed for? She's saying female arousal is designed to make her body ready for intercourse, right? Okay. So I can understand how pleasure and orgasm before intercourse is okay, and I understand how it's fine during. I don't know how she can justify it afterwards, because what does it do? The act is done. He's done.
Well, I think there's some studies that show that female orgasm can propel sperm or remove sperm. So I think
She
that maybe she might have that argument.
She doesn't make the argument, though. I think the way
it is
that
all
she's
about pleasure then.
Yeah. Well, okay. Fine.
I think that's fine. It's fine with me.
They're kind of weaving in and out of what's going. I mean, yes, kudos to her for emphasizing the fact that pleasure is important and essential. But it's interesting
it is important.
It's interesting how but only if it occurs in this context, right? Now, outside of that, it's bad.
Yep.
Like I think that's the rub there. Is it's what they're saying. I think is fully supportable. What I think is weird is how they will, on the other hand, still say that it's wrong to seek the pleasure outside of it, because that's where I think they got blinders on it. I think they're starting to again create artificial boundaries because she feels like she has to, because she feels like this is what church or someone says that she has to say.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, but according to her, can happen before intercourse, during, or after. Great.
Sure, that's fine.
Fully endorse it. But there's always a catch, right? So there's limits to that. So let's get to that.
The time limit.
Yes.
be permissible is if you finish intercourse and optional afterplay. Now, what wouldn't be permissible is if you finish intercourse and, both of you go and shower, and then we're talking like maybe an hour later or something like that. You're
an hour. We're up to an hour.
Up to an hour.
Yeah.
It used to be 20 minutes.
I know.
I actually
Yeah.
get an orgasm. Can you stimulate me to orgasm? now we've really ended the sexual act, and this is beginning a new one.
Just give her-
Now,
Yep.
if you guys are prepared and interested in seeking out intercourse again, then you could begin a new sexual act and say bring her to orgasm during foreplay and then culminate in intercourse. Really what we're talking about here.
Can't the guy just be like, psych? I tried.
Yeah. This is where I don't know. I think these feel like
That's an arbitrary rule.
games here a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
I know what she's getting at.
I get it, but it feels a lot to me like the Amish guys who can't use cordless drills, but if you plug it in for them, that's okay. Like that kind of weird, like what?
Yeah,
We can't use
that's
this,
true.
but we can use that, and the reasoning isn't necessarily makes sense. So this is where, like, this whole idea of like what constitutes a full sexual act, like where does that come from? And how would humans know that? Like you said, it's not in the 10 Commandments. It's not in the scripture. It's not like we're just kind of making stuff up, right? And I'm not saying it's wrong, but I don't think it's obvious.
It's not fully supported.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that like that once they kind of open the door, and this is of course one of the arguments the traditionalists make is why TOB is bunk, is it opens these doors and now people are just, there's no, just do whatever you want now, which okay. And so they would say the solution to that, just go back to, transactional marital acts. Pleasure is purely optional for her. Better not happen before or after and all that, just a grand old time. But I think the traditionalists are right that these ideas, I think, open, I don't want to say a can of worms. I would use it a little more positively than that, but I think it opens up us to like have conversations about, okay, what are actually the limits? Why?
Mm-hmm. Or are there real
Are
limits?
there, and why, what, do you really have to have a stopwatch on? Does it matter what you do? What if you don't shower? Like,
Well, what if you shower quickly?
Yeah. Maybe if the shower is less than 3 minutes or something like that. What if you never get out of bed?
Are you? It's okay to wipe up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. This is, and while we joke about it, this is serious stuff for Catholics because, as we know from people that show up here and people that she is marketing to, if you will, people get really scrupulous about this, and we're told that if you get these things wrong, it's a serious matter, and your soul may be on the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we talk about these things. These aren't really just esoteric issues. These actually have real life consequences for people, potentially on a moral level, but I think on a practical level, because people are very afraid. Catholics are very afraid of doing something that's wrong, even if their mind and experience and everything tells them there's nothing wrong with it. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust our experiences, our reason, our logic, right? We're told, we're essentially told not to trust that. But the only exception is the primacy of conscience, but that's all fraught with, well, you better make sure it's all well-formed and all that, right? And so I think, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they've kind of created this mess for people, and good people are trying to follow it. And I don't think they have good answers. Like I think they're just kind of making stuff up now.
Yeah.
Right.
Well intentioned.
Yeah. I really don't agree with everything she says up until she gets to this point where this is the boundaries of what you can't do. Like that, to me, that's where like, but why? Why not?
Yeah.
Like explain it to me.
Yep.
And I don't think they really do that, right? And so this, I think, and I think the logical question that I would like to see her or Christopher West or someone else like that answer is, okay, if because she goes on to talk about multiple orgasms, which, hey, I'm all for that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Because apparently there are Catholics that are concerned that it's sinful if they if they have multiple orgasms during it. Like, really? Like, this is the kind of neuroticism.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But she says, no, it's fine. You could have one before, during, and after. That's all perfectly fine. And
how long can they go on for though?
Well,
is that still one continuous act?
According to her, it is.
I would agree with her.
But where it ends is not super obvious, or where the next one begins is not super obvious, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, at least.
And really, the message should be: don't be too scrupulous. I think it's going to be, like
yeah. And this is why I think the TOB folks really need to answer in better terms, if it can be answered, why the female orgasm, at least. Let's just talk about the female orgasm. Let's not talk about the male, just the female orgasm. I would like them to actually explain if it can happen before. Now, let's just use her words and assume it should. Let's say it can happen up to an hour before intercourse and up to an hour after intercourse. Okay, why just within that time frame? Why not 2 hours later?
Mm-hmm.
Why not the next day? Like, this is where it comes back to, it's a modern teleology
mm-hmm.
that is founded on the result that we know we have to reach, and then they kind of work back from there.
Yeah.
And I would like to see them to really just talk about just the female side of things. Walk me through and explain to me why it's obvious that God designed us in such a way that the woman must not experience it other than within a full sexual act, whatever that is. I don't think there's an actual definition for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, right. I'd like to see that. I don't think anyone has tried to do that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I would love to have a conversation with them. Maybe we can do a joint podcast episode.
You
Christopher
bet.
West, I know you're an ardent listener. Let's set it up. I will. Can you answer that question for us? Do a podcast episode, but can you answer that question for us? And if you can't, ask yourself why.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself why, because inquiring minds want to know, and marriages are very much affected by this.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
Yeah. So that's what I would like to know.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know that. And I know a lot of other people would like to know that. And I think
curiosity killed the cat, though.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's why being a Catholic, it always feels like walking around on a hillside during a lightning storm holding an umbrella. And like, are we okay? Are we okay? Are we not okay?
It's okay or not?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gets you when you're least expecting it. Let us know in the comments what you think about that. I already know what our friend Jonah 2.0 thinks about that, but you can go ahead and add your comments anyway. But let's hear from all the reasonable people out there.
What about his wife thinks?
Yeah, let's get her. Ask her and have her put her comments in. I don't want to filter through you, buddy.
Yeah.
I want so, especially I want to hear from the women in the audience what they think about that. Do you agree
what
with
time
Ellen?
limit do you have?
Yeah, do you agree with Ellen? And if so, why? And if not, why not? Like, and I think the follow-up question would it make a difference in your marriage if the female orgasm wasn't restricted to the quote unquote full conjugal act before, during, or shortly after? Would that make a difference? Would it help your marriage if it wasn't that restricted? I'd like to know that. Let us know.
Yeah.
Okay. You have immunity here in the comments. Do not take theological advice from us. We're just talking, but I think these are important questions that ought to be answered, and so far don't seem to be answered by those that claim to be the truth holders.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right.
Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks, Ellen, always for giving us great content. Link to her show will be below. And until next time, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good one.